Hi everybody, happy May and welcome back to the Year of Stones and Crystals sponsored by the Friends of the Library and the Lawrenceburg Public Library. I'm Carisa Bunten. Most of you probably know from 7th Street Gifts. We're a small family owned and operated brick and mortar apothecary shop in Newport, Kentucky, established in 1999. We have an incredible staff right now, and they are the ones who have assembled and put your kits together. So just to send a shout out and give credit where credit is due, that's the girls running the shop, actually right now while I'm here filming with Denise. So our month of May, and the stone for the month of May is the traditional stone of emerald. And it is an all-time favorite. It's considered in one of the top 4 of the most classic, revered, and precious stones in the world, of the whole globe. Right in there with diamonds and citrines and topazes and all the things that we probably have in our most famous, finest pieces of jewelry ourselves. So again, the stone of emerald is the birthstone of May, and then it's often very commonly represented as a heart chakra too, because the heart chakra can either be a light pink or a light green. So rose quartz and emerald are the 2 interchangeable stones for the heart chakra. And it's in your handout when you check your kit out, a little bit more detail, but just a cool fact worth mentioning is it's actually the mineral beryl, exactly like the aquamarine, the mineral beryl, if you remember. So by true definition, emerald is a mineral, B-E-R-Y-L, of the beryl family, the same as aquamarine, our March birthstone. The name origin of the emerald is a little more convoluted and hard to trace than others, such as the aquamarine and the other stones and crystals that we can trace right back to the Latin root or origin, specifically like garnet. Remember how it actually means pomegranate in Latin? The emerald derivation of the name is really convoluted. It goes way back, but it's likely derived pre-Latin, so that shows you how long it's been revered and used, from a very ancient Persian word, marakata or marakata. And that it's still used today in Persia. An emerald is still called this word. I probably did not pronounce it correctly, but this is the correct spelling. This word today in Persian means the green growing, or growing of green. And then since it is so world-renowned and been traveled and traded all over, the word emerald became translated and renamed in Latin roots, bringing us to today's emerald. And then a very popular girl's name in Europe, and specifically like in the Celtic and British Isles, is Esmeralda. And it is a direct descendant from the word emerald, and it means like girl or child of green eyes. And again, it is among one of the most revered and historically recorded stones. So it's right up there with diamonds, and actually emeralds have been recorded biblically before a diamond, if you wanted to go to a timeline and trace back historically. So just a very quick little touch on some of the uses it's been used historically into modern times. And so it's oftentimes referred to as the stone used in chastity belts, and obviously many moons ago. It has a biblical reference, several, but specifically the breastplate of Solomon and the breastplate of Aaron have emeralds placed into them for protection. It has ancient metaphysical properties back to like the Romani and the Gypsy tribes of truth-telling. So if somebody was believed to be telling a lie or a falsehood, it was kind of used as an old-fashioned lie detector test, and they would have to hold the emerald in their mouth while they were asked questions, and it was said that they would be unable to tell a lie if they had the emerald in their mouth. All the way back to the times of Hippocrates, the Hippocratic Oath, right, that doctors use today. He ground emeralds into a fine powder and made a paste, and he would apply it to eyes, people who had eye ailments and vision problems, and make a specific eye medicine out of it. So just these few little ideas show you, A, how long and how revered and long back in historical human time that the emerald has existed, been revered, used, and put into jewelry in metaphysical and medicine, all the way to common days today where you will get your very lovely polished emerald to use on your own and enjoy it. And then certainly when emeralds are in fine jewelry, they've been cut and faceted, right, by a lapidary and turned into a gemstone. So yours could cut and facet and do that. This is just kind of in the in-between stage. So the first stage would be its natural form in the earth. The second would be like a raw chunk, which we do have at the shop too. And then the third would be the tumbled and polished like you have. And then the fourth would be the cut and faceted for jewelry. And now just in general, let's trace back, since this is our 5th stone and crystal of a month of, or a year of 12 months, ideas that we've just used, how to use your stones and crystals that you come and check out from the library and make them your very own, is to apply the properties and colors, obviously, for your birthstone, to use them as an amulet or talisman, just to use aesthetically as a pretty garden or windowsill ornament to look at a lovely nature-derived stone or crystal. You can add your stones or crystals to drinks and make them elixirs. You can add them to candle making and kind of up the gift giving and the candle, homemade candle that you're making. We discussed crystal gritting and how it's used kind of like as a form of meditation and guidance and deep thought. And then today we're going to talk about the care of stones and crystals and how to charge, cleanse, and use as you build on your collection. And now I even put this in our handout, and I know the topic in and of itself is an interest to many and most and really all, but this is just a bit of a disclaimer. It's traced back to very ancient times and in all religious forms, but it does have a little touch of the woo-woo to it. So I'm just going to ask everybody to keep an open mind and understand that I know that it's got a little woo-woo vibe to it too, but it doesn't mean that it still can't be appreciated, applied, and respected for its historical content and context and the idea behind it. So to cleanse, a lot of people say, well, what do I do with my stones or crystals? And I promise you we're still going to work up to the jewelry making. I'm working on something very special and maybe even having a guest come to do a quick wire wrapping demo, so I haven't forgotten. We have 7 more months. But in the meantime, when you're using it for gritting, for your chakra meditation, even just carrying it with you or putting it on your windowsill and it kind of gets dusty or dirty and you just want to care for it and cleanse and kind of maintain the quality of your stone and crystal collection, one of the go-to ways is to cleanse with an herbal smoke. And now what we're going to use today is a sustainably grown and crafted sage or smudge bundle. But there's a lot of discussion about cultural appropriation with using sage and smudge bundles, and ours is sourced from a legit source, but we could kind of have a whole class just about that. So today I'm going to use white sage that was grown specifically for cash crop and to sell to make sage, so it wasn't like harvested or poached. But you can use any sort of herbal smoke, I guess was the very long-winded way to say that. So if you even have peppermint, lavender, mugwort, any kind of aromatic herb or plant growing in your garden, you can use that as a cleansing herbal smoke. It doesn't necessarily have to be a sage bundle bound up like this. And all the way to the most primitive beginning forms of life, people have used smoke to clean or clear away anything from the past or negative, as well as to use smoke to carry or send prayers or wishes. All the way to something as primitive and crude as a smoke signal that Native Americans would use to communicate. You would also use smoke to clean negative energy, to make something yours, evoke like an auspicious beginning, and mark it as a tool of your own, as well as to send prayers to heaven and wishes to the universe. And if you think about it, it makes sense. Especially in ancient times, it was something you could see and watch and carry upward. And even in today's many religious ceremonies, Catholic and Episcopalian still use frankincense and myrrh and censers and smoke to evoke ritual and focus and to create a sacred space. So you can certainly do the same thing with your stones and crystals. Oh, here's your emerald, your polished emerald. I already took it out. Another way to kind of hold your stones and crystals in between and keep them charged and cleansed and just feeling good is to store them in a tiny little bowl of just salt. So let's say you keep them in a nightstand, or you use a different one for meditation or to trade out for jewelry or any sort of reason that you would pick a different stone for a different day. You can just store them with a little bit of salt in a bowl. And now after you have used them, the general idea is you use sunlight to cleanse, to clean, so to release or get rid of. And then if you want to kind of amplify or put a positive intention or a prayer or a good thought, kind of like a meditation, you would use moonlight to charge. So sun is to clean or to cleanse, and moon is to charge and to raise vibration or focus. So it's as simple as taking your lovely stones and crystals collection already, and you can line them up one at a time, or just use the one that you've held the most to you and you can tell just needs a little bit of TLC. And remember, this does not have to be a smudge bundle or white sage stick. It can be any aromatic smoke. In Christian traditions, frankincense or myrrh is commonly used. This is more of a Native American tradition. And then again, you just use the cleansing herbal smoke and you allow your stone to be enveloped in it. And then certainly you could do anything you want. You could use it as a release, you could use it as an intention, you could use it to send a prayer or a positive thought to someone. And it's just a kind of way to make you stop and focus and enjoy and look at your stone and crystal and really enjoy its beauty. Lots of times too, it'll make you kind of rearrange them or maybe use them in a different way or a different order. And then commonly, again, kind of borrowing from an ancient Native American tradition, you would use a feather to wave and fan the smoke. And then that would also represent the element of air, right? So the stone would be earth, the salt would be sea, and the smoke and the feather would be air or wind. Lots of times when we did workshops in person and we would pick out our own stones and crystals, everybody would choose from a large bowl. And by the time they got around, you know, they'd been handled and touched by a large group of people. And there's just something about making something your own and kind of evoking like a well-intentioned, harmless ritual to kind of say, this is my tool now. And then other people who have handled it or touched it, it sort of washes them away and makes it your own and new again. And we would use salt and sage, and everybody would, after they chose the stone that they were going to use for whatever the workshop was going to be, would roll their stone in salt, specifically for chakra kits especially, and then envelop it in a little bit of smoke. All right, great. So you also wouldn't cleanse and purify your stones in a tiny little study room with a smoke detector right above you. As Denise and I just found out. So if we're not back for month 6, it's because I've set all the alarms off at the library and got fired. No, I'm just kidding. So again, we're going to do use cleansing with herbal smoke as an ancient ritual to clean or clear. Store in salt or place in salt between uses. And then again, you use sunlight to cleanse, moonlight to charge. And good old Charlie Brown, couldn't say it better myself, is his famous quote, "You can always talk to the moon, but the sun never listens." So in conclusion, for the month of May, from the Lawrenceburg Public Library, we have emerald, the traditional birthstone. Your kit will contain a tumbled and polished emerald, a really nice size too. And it also can be used for the heart chakra. The name origin's a little convoluted, but it has a better description and a better timetable in your handout. But generally, the first word that we found to describe it was from Persia, and it's still the word that is described used for emerald today in Persia. It's used, oh gosh, historically in every world religion, every world lore, every sort of folk remedy or reference, all the way from chastity belts to Hippocrates, who used emerald's dust to make eye ointment. And up to date, all of our stones and crystals that we've collected as part of our kit this far could be used as an amulet, a talisman, certainly the birthstone, garden and windowsill, elixirs, incorporated into candle making, used for meditation and focus for crystal gritting. And then in between, the care of stones and crystals to charge, cleanse, and use is our little woo-woo lesson we did today on salt, smoke, and good intention. So until next month, we're going to think about what it's going to be. I've got to do a little bit of research for sourcing, but Denise will let you know in the newsletter. Certainly we'll be here in June with something to celebrate the coming of summer. And until then, enjoy your emerald. Thanks, everybody.